Hello, hello, hello. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? You'll never guess. Yes, you will. Okay, I'm down to the very last row of this shawl. See, I've done that much of this side, and I'm going to go over here over the top. Right there. And then I'm going to go down on this side. And I've only got this much yarn. I wonder if I'm going to make it. You think so? I don't know. I don't know. And what if I don't? Do I take the last row out? Probably so. Anyway, I'm going to work on this. And I'll be back in a little bit to let you know how it came out. Oh my. I'm cooking me some cornbread because I'm so excited about finishing this. I do hope I have enough to finish it. It doesn't look like a lot, but you know, if I keep going, we'll see how close it is. I don't even think I have anything that, I don't know. We'll deal with that when we get to the end. I'm thinking it's going to be just enough. I'm going to get back with you when I get to that point. Bye. I'm getting nervous, so I thought maybe I'll just talk to you about something. What are we going to talk about? Let's see. I was in New Orleans years ago, and I went into this button shop. It just happens to be next to the hotel where I was staying. And I had a little free time, so I walked to this little tiny shop that was very, very narrow. And it had a little old lady in there. I was young, okay? Little old lady in there, and she was surrounded with buttons. Every kind of button you could imagine, and they were antique buttons. You know, just amazing buttons. And so she was telling me history about buttons, you know, this button and this button and this button, and how, you know, how they were made. And I don't know if you knew, but in Arkansas, there's a city in Arkansas, can't think of the name of, Donaldson, I think. And it used to be a huge mussel location. Now, I know you're saying mussel. Well, anyway, the mussels were found in the creeks and the river and lakes and all kinds of places. And they would open them and use the shells, not the pearls in them, which very seldom you can find a pearl in a mussel shell. But anyway, they collected them, and they were so prolific, the mussels were, that people were making money. So they opened a mine and started to process, or a company started processing. Anybody want to bring them mussels, you know, they would get them cleaned up and everything and ship them off to the big cities and all over the world. And they used these shells because they had a pearl lining inside of them, and that's where the pearl buttons came from, were those mussels. Of course, that Arkansas wasn't the only one, that it was in a state that didn't have a lot of, well, I guess they did. I don't know. But anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And but this lady had buttons, every kind of buttons, from France, like from the 1800s, the 1700s. She had, oh my gosh, and you know, she was telling me, you know, if you had 4 buttons or 8 buttons, she said in France, the buttons, you know, had to be a certain quality for the aristocrats in France, and they had to have so many buttons that they all had to match. You know, if one of the aristocratic ladies need buttons all the way up the front back, she's got to have them all to match. You know what I mean? Just almost perfect, you know, if there was any flaw or anything. And so any kind of button that's been found is valuable. that was made during those times. So she says. She was going on about it, and I was thinking, that is just, she was just a wealth of information. You would have loved to hear her talk about those buttons. Well, I had to buy some. Yes, I did. At that time, I was collecting buttons because my mother collected buttons. Don't know why, just did. Not for the same reason this little lady had them, but oh, she was just all about buttons. So I bought these buttons, and I can't remember how much I paid for those buttons, but there were 6 buttons, and each one of them was engraved, and it had multicolored metals in them. They weren't pearl, they were metal buttons of some kind, and they had black metal, gold metal, and silver. They looked like small medallions, and they weren't like a quarter of an inch, or if they were that, maybe not even that, I don't know. But after I bought them and then came back home, I just put them in my jewelry case, didn't even put them in my jar where I had my buttons. And many, many years later, I found those buttons, and it made me think of that lady I had met and all those wild buttons, And I had kept those buttons for 20 years, something like that. Right now, I could tell you I don't know where those buttons are. I know I don't have them because I've moved too many times to keep up with so many things, But I thought it was quite interesting. I did check out a library book, which was before the internet, of course, and checked out buttons. And so when I moved up to Hardy, my sister said, well, we're going to the state park, Donaldson State Park, I think is where we went, on the northeast part of the state of Arkansas, and to make pearl earrings. So we went there, spent the day. Very nice day, very nice weather, beautiful place. And we were making pearls. Well, guess what? This lady who was doing the instruction, the interpreter at the park, was talking about the mussel shells, and that it was a big industry for the area, were mussels shells. And people were collecting mussels until now. There's hardly, they're hard to find, the mussels in the creeks around in Arkansas, because they just overindulged. Isn't that the way America is? Isn't that the way the world is? I mean, they just don't think about things. I mean, they have a hard time finding a mussel, And if you look at one, they look like oysters, except they're smoother, a lot smoother. We used to find the shells and they would be already open. We'd pick them up. I don't know what we did with them, nothing, I don't think. Just picked them up and put them in a pile by a ditch somewhere. But yes, it was very, very interesting. Very interesting to meet that lady. So I also went while I was in New Orleans. And another thing too, if I'm not mistaken, when we went to Paris, me and my sisters went to Paris. My sister left buttons at different locations over there. Laid a button on a step. Not where people stepped on, but by a plant, by Versailles, or by the, if we go to England, we left one at the Thames, different places that we were. As we're sisters, there's just three of us sisters, and her mama wasn't with us, so that was one of the other things that was related to buttons. Do you have any special buttons like the ones your mom put on your dress when you were a little girl? My mother was a seamstress, and she always made me and Marcia dresses just alike. Just alike every time she made a dress for us. So we looked like two little Bopsy twins. It was 2 years between us. And we always looked the same until we got into school. And I think up until we were maybe 3rd grade, Mom stopped making our clothes alike. But yeah, we looked alike. Even down to our shoes. Yeah, but buttons are amazing. A lot of history in buttons, but mussel shells. Isn't that something? They just wiped them out. But I guess, I don't know what years that was going on, if that was early 1800s, early 1900s. I really don't know about the mussels, I mean. Because during Depression, you just have, when you lived up in the mountains of Arkansas, there was very little, that you could do to make any money. It was just peels. Pretty rugged living up in the hills of Arkansas. I enjoy reading about the history of Arkansas during that time. We had a park that opened in Arkansas, and it was Dog Patch, USA. And it was a lot about the hillbillies, and I never went. They tried to reopen it. It's been closed for many, many years. But I think someone tried to open it or use it as a museum or something, but it didn't make it. But the hills of Arkansas. Yep. Different kind of people lived in the hills of Arkansas. Now, if you lived in a town, you were city folks. You lived on a farm, you were farm folks. But if you lived in the hills, you were hillbillies. But I retired up there in the hills, and I loved it. I did. They can't take my memories away. It was like heaven on earth to me. I loved it. I'd still be there if I hadn't hurt myself, had an accident. But it was beautiful. But I'm trying to talk and crochet. I'm so slow sometimes, but it might make it. See, I've still got this much yarn. Can you see? And I've got to go down this side right there. I got to go down that side right there. So I've just come over the point, and I'm heading down. I think I'm going to have enough. Just enough. Isn't that fun when something like that works out just fine? I'm going to be disappointed now if I'm only going to think positive thoughts. There will be enough. Uh-oh, skip a stitch. Last night I cooked chocolate chip cookies. And you don't have those frozen Pillsbury that you take them out of the freezer and you break them apart. Yeah. And then you bake them up. Well, I think I cooked 6. And I ate every one of them last night. Really good. Yay! Yay! I've got enough that it'll make the flour. Can I put it on? I'll try it again. Can I put it on, honey? Okay. Here we go. How do you do it? Okay. There I am. Woo. good God, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I can't. There we go. Oh, I guess if I lean forward a little bit, you can see. I will. Isn't that beautiful? Now, you can go this way, or you can up around your neck like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that pretty. Cover my belly. Yeah. Oh, isn't that pretty? Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah. Oh, that'd be perfect for just, you know, in the evening you're chilly. You just want to put that on. If you want to, you could add a little collar if you wanted more. But really, you could turn it in or turn it up. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Maybe you could turn it to the inside like this. Ooh, make it fluffier looking. Put a little button here, maybe. You could do anything. Look at the length of it. Oh, it's long. Yeah. And down the back. It's a V in the back. I can't get up and model it because I don't know how you can see the back. Anyway, it turned out to be most magnificent. Most beautiful. See? Beautiful. Yes, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Celebrate, celebrate, la da 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 da. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Oh, yes, isn't that beautiful? Yep. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye. Remember, God has you in His hands. Pray for Mother Earth. And pray for those bees. We got to keep those bees around. Okay, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.